Morning, eDirt. Great to be reporting back on what went down this weekend, which was round 4 of the GXCC series. It's been a big gap, 3 months in fact, since we went GXCC racing back in April, and just really cool to see all the familiar faces. It's always going to be a nail biter to run a race at this time of year. You know, coming into July, the kids are on holiday. A lot of guys have maxed out their credit cards going racing, but we still had good numbers. I think it was coming up to around about 350. So the first 4 rounds of the GXCCs, they've seen 400 riders plus. So 350 or maybe just under 350 is still good numbers. And Lawrence and Marilyn are still going to be happy to see that kind of turnout coming into play. A lot of riders coming into this round as well, in good shape as well. Normally we'd be talking about the injury list at this round number 4 of the championship, but everyone's in pretty good nick, to be fair. On the quads, Russman's back from his shoulder operation. Johan Oosthuizen also back and full fighting fit. So what we'll do, we'll start things out with the quads because they opened up our racing procedure in the morning. Gideon Jacobs is the winningest rider on GXCCs on quads for the last couple of seasons, but he has had his mechanicals along the way. This time around, he was stretching his legs, he got the big hole shot, he ran the numbers, and he was gone. Then I think it was lap number 4, he came out of the pits, around about 10 Ks out of the pits, his front hub seized, sheared the front wheel off, and that was him tripod for the rest of the day. He actually just turned around on the loop, came back in the pits, and drew a line under the race. So no win, and he did score some points after completing obviously over 50% of the race, but no win for Gideon Jacobs. There was also a mechanical failure on Russman's bike. So even though his body was in good shape, the bike, unfortunately, after an engine rebuild, did let go. So that was a little bit of a sad story for Russell, and a hard pill to swallow, especially as he's had even more time off than everyone else. So he was keen as mustard to get racing. But Russman will be back for round number 5. So it was Ruan Tout that actually got his first big win of the GXCCs, and it's great to see him as well. He's been climbing the ladder. He was in really good shape the last couple of rounds, and I think it was round number 3 he actually pulled the whole shot and got torn off his bike by a little bit of a wild card rider in turn 1. That was at round number 3. So Ruan Tout, the kid that's supported by Vans Racing up in Middelburg, gets his first big win. There was no show for Keenan Hammond this time around. Keenan, clever kid, doing his work, being diligent, saluting the flag and all that. He was doing his exams as well. So we must remember he's a lighty, you know, so yeah, it's important for him to get his schooling out the way before he comes racing with us crazies. So that was the Q1s. In the Q2s, we saw a great lineup. Hannes Simon, he's a championship points leader at the moment. He's reigning national champion, and he wanted to go out and run the numbers. But the man that's been coming on strong this year in the Q2s has been Swanee, Stefan Swanepoel. We'll cut to the chase. Swanee's bike let go after 30 Ks. Another bike that had had a mid-season rebuild, and unfortunately just something let go. So that's a little bit of a nasty one for him. And I would really like to see him running the pace. He's got himself physically into a good place where he can really go and chase down the numbers. And I think he's going to be a championship threat one of these days once again. Remember, Swanee was a guy that could run the pace of Brian Baragwanath when he was racing full national championships back in the day. So in the Q2s, it was really no drama for Hannes Simon. Once he got clear air, he ran the laps. He took the fastest laps in the quads, he took the fastest overall, took the overall win, and he took the Q2 win in category. Great to see the number 2 spot though stepping up, and that was the tall man from Vans Racing, and that's Johan Oosthuizen. So back from a long fix on his shoulder, really had a lot of problems on that thing, and that's since since Dundee last year, so well over 8 months in the repair shop for him, getting the panel beating done, and he's back on point. He got his nice number 2 spot, so couldn't be happier for him, and it's great to see all the guys coming back from their injuries and back on pace. In the ladies category, Nali Carly Bruder, who's a championship points leader, comes off her 3rd place overall quad in the desert, and it's the first time any woman has ever done that. So it's again a big high five to Nali Carly for getting a top 3 placing at the desert and obviously walking away with the women's title. The bike let go. in spectacular fashion as well. So again, it's this time of year. If the bikes haven't had a rebuild after the desert, after 1,000 Ks on just one race, remember, then there's going to be an issue. She said she didn't put too much prep into the bike after the desert, pretty much cleaned it off, changed the oil, reloaded it, and went racing. She had the whole she didn't have the whole shot actually. She got a little bit bogged down off the line, but she did get to run out front, and she was in good shape. The bike let go after 2 laps, just emptied its guts completely. She did manage to get the thing back to the pits, but it's gone, you know. It might be a big repair bill. She's talking about getting onto a new 450 now, so we'll have to see what she actually lines up with at round number 5. That left Marty Backfisher on the big Raptor 700 to run the pace out front, and that should see Marty back in good shape and running off the front in the championship. Now, I believe there's a throwaway this year. I'm up for correction, but if there's a throwaway, that's obviously going to tighten things up once again. But it's important now for the quads across all the categories to make sure they are getting all of their points on the plate, with only, I think, 3 rounds remaining on the year. Catch our breath then, and we'll go into the kids. On the kids, it's once again the Matty Wilson show. He is absolutely dominating on the front there, running the pace in the senior 85s. He has been pushed close in the early part of the season by Branson and J-Dog. This time around, J-Dog didn't have his time. I actually don't think he actually lined up. I think we lost him to the school holidays this time around. And Carl Branson did get a number 2 spot, but it wasn't as close as it's been in the past. You know, those kids were separated in the early part of the season by like 3 seconds. So again, another win for Matty Wilson. We'll leave the rest of the other junior categories alone for now, because we've still got all the senior categories in the motorcycles to plow through. So let's start as they went out of the gate. The big bangers, OR1 category. We're talking about Kenny, D'Artagnan, Lo Schmidt, JC Nienaber. All these guys are real big players, but the man that has been the strongest on the season so far is JC Nienaber. He came into the round as number 1 gate pick, number 1 ranked rider, and it would be hard to bet against him at the moment. He is in really, really good shape. Kenny's only had that one bad race really, where his bike let go, but JC has really, really pushed him. This time around, JC's bike unfortunately had his issues. He said after, I think it was lap number 2 or 3, he said his gearbox just didn't feel good. He could select through first, second, third. As soon as he started getting up into 4th on the high revs, it was just jumping out, which means the gearbox is kind of on its way out. You know, there's a lot of horsepower coming out of these 450 bikes that are lining up. So he rolled out of it, decided to take an early bath, save his bike for this coming weekend, which is of course Pikes Peak, the next round of the national championship. So it's a very tight calendar, and decisions like this unfortunately have to be made at the races to try and save the bikes or bodies for the next day, you know. So it was Kenny that ran out front. He got a good run. He didn't actually pull the whole shot. That was D'Artagnan and Lowe. They were like elbows up. They kind of caused each other a problem there as well in turns 1 and 2, and allowed Kenny to sweep past. So as soon as Kenny got clear air, he was gone. He came in at the end of lap number 1 with, it felt like a minute gap. I think it was a minute gap over D'Artagnan. Then Lowe slotted himself into 3rd place, and JC in the early part was in 4th, but obviously he disappeared with his bike problems. The race ran like that. Dart actually pushed him pretty close. At the end of lap number 2, D'Artagnan had closed it down to 30 seconds, the gap. So on lap 2, the fastest man on track was D'Artagnan. Unfortunately, with the refuel situation, you know, Kenny can run a big tank on the Husqvarna. Dart, I think, is still on a small tank on the Yamaha. So the fueling strategy came into play once again, and we've seen that happen throughout the season. It pretty much remained like that, a bit of yo-yoing between 1st and 2nd. Kenny extended towards the end of the race, as he always does, and in the end it was a number 2 spot for Dart, but Lowe was right there with him. Lowe actually picked up the pace, and it's another rider that's coming back from injuries and is in good form once again. So 1, 2 and 3 in the Pro OR1s, Kenny, Dart and Lowe. In the OR2s, great story. So on the season, it's been JJ Daisel, the motocross crossover, who has been controlling all of the championship points so far. Tucky's been coming back. You know, he missed round 1, but Tucky's coming back into it. Travis Gielig is there or thereabouts. Jason Fenter is there or thereabouts. But this time around, it was Ian Rawle That's right, the Brawler picked up a 350 this week, decided he wants to make the move up. It's been a long time coming, but he really played his cards close to his chest. No one knew about it until he just rocked up, and he just nailed it. Like, it's been good. He's got that nice aggressive style. He's very hard on 250s, and 350 was the natural progression. He absolutely hammered them. He pulled a big gap early on and just started climbing the ladder and plying the field. Ian Rawle took his first ever OR2 win here at round number 3, and it's going to be the first of many as well. And you talk about the class of riders that he beat. He put time into Tucky in second place. He put time into JJ. He put time into Travis. He really was on point. Not only that, he took the second fastest run time of the race overall. So on the day, the only man to actually beat him on the ticking clock was Kenny Gilbert. So well done, the Brawler, Ian Rawle. Nice move, stepping up into the OR2 category. Tucky and JJ did a good enough job though to keep hands on trophies, and that's going to be the real dice come the end of the year, with Brawler obviously not really in it for the championship. It's going to be between JJ and Tucky. On the OR3s, great to see big lineups once again. All the players were there. Jared Coetzee, you know, he's in the form of his life at the moment on the little bikes. But the man on the championship form is the Mac Attack, Darren McLeod. He really is strong. He doesn't put a foot wrong. He's got a good setup on his bike. His approach to racing is very clean and methodical. He walked away with another win. So McLeod is just extending in the OR3 championship. Looked like Jared Coetzee was going to probably best him on the day, but a fueling error on lap 2, I think it was, caused him to obviously lose time. And he didn't really recover from that. So he did a good enough job to get into a number 2 spot, third place going to the Mad Kid, Martin van Jaarsveld. But it's all about the Mac Attack. McLeod is definitely on for his best season ever and a real strong championship. In the high school 125s, lots of drama. Turn number 1, Pelter and Robbie came together, and you know, on the season, rounds 1, 2, and 3 in the high school 125s have seen 3 different winners. You know, Lowe took the first one, Lowe Pretorius. Second race, I think the second race was Robbie, and then the third race was Storm Phil Yun. So they're all in it for the championship. And for me, I was making a lot of building some drama on the day in live commentary, because you know, we're waiting to see who's going to be the first person to take the double win of the season. That ended up being Lowe. He had a very good run. The kid from Vans Racing in Middelburg got his win ahead of Storm Phil Yun, but Storm was right on him. I mean, they were separated by around about 5 seconds the whole way through the race. Robbie off the box, damage to his bike in that first turn collision. Peltzer managed to get himself back up to, I think it was a number 5 on the day. But the championship now is truly between the 2 Husky guys. That's Lowe and Stormy. So we're really watching to see what unfolds throughout the rest of the season. No mistakes from now on between those 2 guys. There is literally nothing in it, and it's the closest championship we've got on the plate at the moment. In the age group categories, on the seniors, Bruce Viljoen comes in as championship points leader, but he's getting closed down big time by Wade Blau. Blau is starting to really build pace. He's come back from almost nowhere, from being a former national championship big threat, and he's got picked up by the Roost on a KTM 2-stroker this time around, and he's becoming very difficult to beat at nationals as well as at GXCCs. Blau walked away with another big win. Bruce got creamed by, I don't know who it was actually, but Bruce was second wheel going into the whole shot turn 1. The guy that got the whole shot, I really cannot think who it was as well. So it wasn't one of the championship players. Some guy just got a real good pull off the line, tucked the front. Bruce went down, had nowhere to go. He picked his bike up in last place and had to plow the field. That meant he was chasing down on Blau and the 2 Yammies. Guy Hanley was back into racing, as was Sean Lloyd. So the 2 Yammy boys on the 450s were trying to pick up the pieces in second and third place. Bruce actually came in at the end of lap number 1 in 4th place, and came out of the pits in 3rd. So he was really on a flyer. Then on lap number 2 lost his clutch. So from then on it was just survival mode for Bruce. Brought home some championship points in 5th place and left Blau, Lloydie and Hanley to pick up the podiums 1, 2 and 3 for the seniors. On the Masters category, one of the big stories in the week before the race, Wayne Farmer, practicing at Rhino Park, hit some wildlife out there. It was one of the bush pigs or something like that, or a warthog. Creamed him off his bike, lots of damage to the machine, and lots of damage to Wayne Farmer's knee. Now, that's going to put Wayne out for a very long time. It's going to be certainly this round of the GXCCs that he missed, certainly the upcoming national this weekend, and possibly the next GXCC as well, if not the rest of the season. No, ligament damage to a knee is not a small thing, and certainly not when you start talking about the age category guys. You know, my knees are plowed, Wayne's are plowed, everyone's are just creamed. You know, it's been a long, hard life of racing BMX, motocross, and off-road. So we wish Wayne a speedy recovery, but that obviously left the Farmer-Hall battle wide open. Hall just hammered it once again. It was perfect terrain for him. He loves it out there on the big 500, and he just absolutely creamed the field. Second place wasn't too far off, you know, it wasn't a hammer blow, but it was around about a 3-minute gap between first place Peter Hall and the Bert Smith Racing 500 KTM and the 450 Sherco, or former factory Sherco, of Justin Broughton. So Broughton, he's always going to be good, but he's a little bit in and out of the championship at the moment. That big gap, we're going to be missing Farmer for a long time. Hall is just going to run and hide as far as the numbers go. In the ladies category, Janke Pieterse ran great pace the whole way through the day, and once again she keeps her nose clean. I think she is undefeated, possibly coming up to 8 rounds in a row now. That's counting last year and this season as well. So great to see her running the numbers up there. Tay Perry is no longer racing in the ladies category, so she's decided to commit to a 450, and she took a second place in the men's stack gate in the OR1 Pro Amateurs, and her lap times were terrifying. Very fast pace coming out of Tay, and yeah, her move up out of the ladies was probably the best thing she could have done as far as her self-development goes. That's a long Hollywood Hills for you guys. Sorry about that. I know you guys have probably lost feeling in your legs as you're sitting down there watching the video, but we had a lot to catch up on after that big break in the middle of the season. Coming up now, we're only, I think, 4 weeks away from the next round of the GXCCs. I believe that's Race Meerbuilt. Next weekend, this coming weekend, should I say, that's Pigs Peak, the next round of the National Enduros. So very tight, very busy time of year for all of the tours to get themselves back into their racing format. I'm potentially going down on the second week of August to go and work with the guys on the South Coast for the National Enduro Doubleheader Championship. Also, I think it's on the 5th of August, there's the next round of the Lowveld Enduros. So there's some busy times coming up. I'll be grabbing a little break next week, so I won't be reporting back, but I will feed back information about what went down at Pigs Peak at the National. At the moment, sounds like the entries are a bit low. Around about 36 guys were confirmed at this weekend, and yeah, I'm a little bit concerned about the national off-roads at the moment. The numbers aren't great, and Pigs Peak, Swaziland, it's quite a trip for the guys to get on up there. So we'll have to just see what goes down. Of course, the championship players are all going to be there. They've got to get the jobs done. So it's again going to be watching to see who walks away with all of the wins. But for now, we're going to be signing off. We're also going to be saying cheery bye to Poly Sports. Ryan Wilkins has been a great supporter. He's got a lot of projects on the go at the moment, so he's stepping out of Hollywood Hills, but we're still Chinas, we're still mates, and we want to say a big thank you to him for that. Same story with Cayenne and Beta. They're focusing on getting their stock in for 2019. So we'll bid them adieu, and we'll no doubt see those guys around the corner. We stay with Holeshot, so great support still coming in from Gareth the Rapper and the crew down that side. But we are going to be looking for other sponsors and partners to come on and assist with the running of Hollywood Hills. So if you guys want to get in touch with me, drop me a line, give me a tag on Facebook, whatever you need to do, and I'll help you guys out, give you some support and some promotion. For now, we'll sign off with an epic, almost 20-minute long Hollywood Hills on a Monday morning, smack bang in the middle of winter. It's been great this weekend to be back racing with GXCCs. Stay tuned as we bring you all of the racing action from the next round of the National Championships at Pigs Peak. For now, have a great week. We'll see you later.